Hey friends, before you go on that green card, things are starting to get really interesting with U.S. immigration. Can Donald Trump give you a green card? Hey guys, before you file for your spouse, hey there, guys, come on in. Freedom now. Freedom still. Freedom now. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York. It's such a delight to be with you on this Monday. We're going to have our Q&A show. Hey there, Shahid. Thank you for being with us. Come on in, guys. Say hello. We're going to talk about two important updates with immigration news. And then I'm going to dive into your questions. I hope you had a restful weekend. As you're coming on board, I'd like to remind you of some ground rules for today's chat. Please do not spam. If we find that you're spamming, you will be placed in timeout. Also, keep in mind that your comments should be respectful. Others are here looking to learn, and please do not distract the viewers with hateful comments or any bullying tactics. If we see that happening, we will ban you from today's session, from the channel. You will be banned, okay? If not during the broadcast, after the broadcast, you will be banned. So please be respectful of the viewers today. Guys, we have consultation slots available with my colleagues. My consultation calendar is filling up very quickly, as you can imagine. Contact our office at McBeanLaw.com to book an appointment with us, to request an appointment, or you can just call the office at 914-898-9488. Phone lines are busy. If you do not reach one of our receptionists or booking agents, try again, but you will be in the call queue so that we can go ahead and get your meeting on our calendar and get started with your case. Thank you guys so much. Say hello, say where you're watching from today as well. Now, friend, two big things happened. We went to sleep last night and we woke up today with news. All right, so let's talk about the first news. Stephen Miller, who has been the brain around immigration for the Trump first term, during the first term with the administration, with the hardline immigration policies. He's known as the architect of immigration policy for Donald Trump. He is being appointed as Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy in the White House, which is a very high-ranking position, higher than the one that he had when he was with Trump in the beginning. And so he's going to have a lot of power over policy, not just immigration policy, but just basically all of the policies that will be coming out of the Trump administration second term. Stephen Miller will have a hand and a say in policy making. So this is very important and significant. And along with policy making, he'll be part of congressional negotiations on legislation and a number of things on the policy level. So Stephen Miller, they're expecting to appoint him as Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. The second big news with immigration that you guys probably saw this morning is the fact that Donald Trump announced the new border czar. The new border czar is Tom Homan. Okay, Tom Homan is the former ICE director, acting director from the first Trump term. He will be in charge of the southern and northern border, as well as maritime security and aviation security. And he will also be in charge of what Trump has tweeted here, of all illegal aliens. Here's what not the tweet, but the Truth Social message says. I'm pleased to announce that the former ICE director and stalwart on border control, Tom Homan, will be joining the Trump administration in charge of our nation's borders. the border czar, including but not limited to the southern border, the northern border, all maritime and aviation security. I've known Tom for a long time, and there is nobody better at policing and controlling our borders. Likewise, Tom Homan will be in charge of all deportation of illegal aliens back to their country of origin. Congratulations to Tom. I have no doubt he will do a fantastic and long awaited for job. So those were the president-elect's own words, okay, his own words, that Tom Homan will be in charge of the deportation campaign that they are looking to launch on day one of the new administration. So those are the two big things that happened here with immigration since we woke up this morning, okay? And, obviously more news will be coming out over the next few weeks as far as the Secretary of Homeland Security. It has not been announced that Tom Homan will be the DHS secretary quite yet. I've only seen reports that he is on the list, right? On the list. So once that's announced, DHS, that's very important. Hopefully we'll know this week. I'll definitely share that information with you. Now let's go into the immigration questions that you have for me today. Happy to answer questions about your situation or situations that other people in your world have, right? The friend. Let's talk about your immigration questions. Now, my ex-wife was arrested for trying to kill me with a knife. Do I qualify for VAWA? You might qualify for VAWA. Are you still, you said this is your ex-wife. You could apply for VAWA if you have not been divorced longer than 2 years. Even if that was the case, if let's say the divorce was several years ago, you could still pursue the U visa for victims of crime. And I think that you would have obviously a very strong case. We're talking today about protection from deportation. All of these immigration strategies that we're going to be discussing and questions answered are all about protecting you from deportation. Hey there, Georgia. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you, Audrey. Good to see some familiar and friendly people. Kevin is in the house. Chanel, good to see you again. All right, let's go. Hey there, Bert. Good to see you, Charles. Let's go down. Let's go down here, the list. How can I be sure that if I go to my consular interview with the waivers I-212 and 601A, I will not have any problems despite my deportation order? So New Jersey, great question. Great question. If you're working with an attorney who had prepared your I-212 and 601A waivers successfully, I hope that attorney had also advised you about what to expect at the U.S. Embassy, because although for some people they could very well be approved with these two waivers are approved, but if there's something else on the record that these waivers do not cover and the embassy catches those issues, then it can certainly be a problem returning to the United States successfully. All right, so speak with your lawyer to make sure that your FOIA, your Freedom of Information Act records, were reviewed by the attorney who prepared your firm, and that you are all covered. Get your own FBI background report, review it yourself, understand what's on your record, and take it from there with the recommendation of your attorney. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I started PIP. What do I do now? From Chicago. So as you know, unfortunately, PIP, parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens, if that's the one you're referring to, unfortunately, that was struck down last week by the judge in Texas. Now, consequently, it leaves individuals only with the option of moving forward with an I-601A waiver and then finishing your process at the U.S. Embassy abroad in your home country. But before you finish that process and leave America, like what I told the other individual, have your FOIA, your background check conducted and reviewed, and then you could leave the United States confidently. But parole in place will not, unfortunately, be moving forward. As I said in my other video last week, that If DHS decides to appeal the decision, well, it's a very short appeal, because when January rolls around with the new administration, they are not going to support that litigation or that appeal. All right, thank you guys. Come on in, Freedom Now. We're talking about protection from deportation. We covered important immigration news. Watch this, the beginning of this broadcast after it's published today to get the news. Let's see. I filed in 2022 March in Alabama. I have yet to be called in for an interview. I don't know what's going on. What type of case did you file, Franklin? Was it a green card case? Is it an asylum case? What have you filed? And then also go to USCIS's website and check the processing times for that jurisdiction that you're in Alabama, to see what the story is. Hey there, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here as usual. Thank you. Someone says, this is a criminal issue. Can I file for citizenship? I answered this one on my last live a few days ago about the diversion. Guys, if I have answered your question, just don't put it back in front of me, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you. No more freedom now with this man. Here's I disagree. There are plenty of ways to protect yourself from deportation, including those of you who have a removal order, okay? Because the removal order folks who are 1 million plus are on the list, the low-hanging fruit list that they're talking about here. You've got to work with an immigration lawyer to find out if there's a way for you to try to get that case reopened and terminated. We just shared a success story yesterday about our client who had his removal order for 19 years, and we were able to get that removal order completely thrown out for him so he could breathe easier now and just finish up his green card process. If you're in a situation like that and you have a way forward to get a green card, you really have like minutes left. When I say minutes, I mean minutes remaining to do this type of process that we've been so successful with for our clients, because they will not be cooperating. ICE will not be cooperating and helping immigrants after Trump becomes president. So you have minutes remaining. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Someone is asking, will you guys be doing any special types of prices for people who genuinely cannot afford this stuff but need the help? No, we will not be doing that, because we are running our business, our team. Everybody here is doing a job and they're all being paid. Okay, so unfortunately, there are charities out there or nonprofits out there, as you know, but nonprofits do not tackle complex cases. We have payment plan options. Some of our options are very flexible. Get to know us and get to know our policies, and if they work for you, then we'd be happy to help you. Okay, I see that New Rochelle is in the house. It's good to have you, Anthony. You're our neighbor next door. Come on in, guys. Come on in. I'm still telling you to say freedom now. Okay, let's keep going. Bernard is asking a great question. When Trump take over, do you think that interview will be mandatory for green card through marriage, even with all evidence in? Bernard, fix this. Let's get this fixed. Bernard, here's the deal. They are shifting, the USCIS will be shifting back to the fraud detection lens. Fraud detection means more scrutiny on everything that folks submit, including the marriage cases. So I do expect them to want to call more people in for interviews. It's possible that they might still be waiving some of those marriage interviews. We'll have to see how that plays out, but their focus will be shifted to fraud detection. And with that being said, you want to make sure that you have a very good case that you present to the government going forward. You'll be fine if you're in a genuine marriage. You will be fine. All right. Should one travel with advanced parole during the Trump presidency? You can travel with advanced parole now, and you'll be able to travel with advanced parole then. And if you have concerns about your record because of a criminal issue, well, that's something to speak with an immigration lawyer about before traveling. But the government gave you an advanced parole for a reason. You know, you leave and then it allows you to come back into the United States. All right, thank you. Super chat question from mtor29 says, I'm waiting for the approval of my husband's I-130. He has voluntary departure and did not leave. Should I be afraid of the new administration? So if he did not, because he did not leave after being granted voluntary departure, technically speaking, he has a removal order. So he is that 1 million, part of that 1 million plus that I described earlier, who they will be targeting. I don't know how, obviously, they're going to narrow it down in a way that's systematic and makes sense, because none of us are privy to those details or strategies quite yet. We just know that they've mentioned the 1 million plus, I should say, who have a removal order, who are still here in the United States. Continue to proceed with your husband's case. This case really should be a case of reopening and terminating prosecutorial discretion while you still have minutes remaining to do that process. You could contact us about it and see what we can do for you, especially since you already have an approved I-130. The removal order needs to be dealt with, all right? Thank you for that. Let's keep going. Thank you guys for being here today. Someone says, another super chat question. Thank you guys also for your super chat. I had an interview 3 years ago, but it's still pending the decision. It's an asylum case. What do I do? So for your asylum case, do you have a lawyer that worked with you on that? I would want to contact the asylum office. If you were working with our team, I know that the lead attorney on your file will reach out to that asylum office until we get some answers. We've had to do that for some clients with long pending asylum cases after the interview. You should not be waiting 3 years for a decision on an asylum interview that you had with the government. So that would be the first proactive step that we would take with a case like yours. You could contact us for more information through a consultation. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Let's see. Let me go back here real quickly. Give me some thumbs up as you're coming on board. Say hello on this Monday afternoon. Will VAWA cases be affected by this new Trump presidency? So Joseph, VAWA was created by Congress, and Congress is the only entity or body that can touch VAWA. The presidency cannot touch VAWA, not even by executive orders. The way that VAWA could potentially be impacted, however, under the Trump term, in my opinion, is when they shift the focus back to fraud detection, every case, more scrutiny for every case, because there's so much fraud in the system. Let's catch these people, right? Like that will be the reset that they're going to take as an agency. So that's how it will impact VAWA potentially. Thank you guys. Come on in. Come on in. Cameron's in the house. Thank you, Nana. Good to see you. Good to see you. Come on in. Let me scroll down to the next question. The next question, I believe I answered this one already. 212 approved, 601A is filed. So does it protect me from deportation because of judge ordered it? Oh, 601, is that 601A that's filed, or did the judge was your 601 waiver approved while in court? Unclear there what you're asking, but it sounds like you are on track for protection and obtaining a lawful status through that complicated process that you're going through right now. It works. You just got to be patient and just keep pressing on. Zayden is asking, can you be deported if you have an asylum case or a marriage case open? If you have something pending with the government for their consideration, you cannot be deported at this time. You have due process rights. You have the right for them you have a right to a notice of a hearing. You have a right to take your case before a court. You have a right to take it all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. There are some people, however, whose rights are really cut off and limited, right? I mean, if you have multiple removal orders on your record because you came in and out, out and they did all these expedited removals of you, well, it's easier to deport someone in that type of circumstance. But generally speaking, everyone else who have an immigration case pending with like asylum or a marriage case, you will be fine to continue seeking your protection through one of those process. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Let me. If I see anything that's distracting, believe me, I am banning folks right now because if it distracts me, it will distract the viewers. And people are here genuinely wanting to listen in and learn and get some information. So the shenanigans, we are not going to put up with the shenanigans today. Okay. Let's see. Thank you. Who have to fill out the form G28. So Elizabeth, usually it's your attorney or your representative that's working on your case, your preparer. The G28 allows the government to share confidential information with that individual who worked on your case. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining from New Jersey. Thank you. Let's see. Let me go down to military parole. I see a couple of questions on military parole in place. That's still intact. That's a great way to protect yourself if you're eligible to be filed for to get that parole from that military family member of yours started, but it doesn't guarantee that you will get the green card through adjustment of status if you have some serious things on your record. Let's see. Someone says, Andrea says that I've been trying to close my deportation order in court for 4 years and nothing. Do you think if I change lawyers, the problem will be solved or will it get worse? I've already had I'm already with the second lawyer. All right. So, Andrea, what I would want to know if you were to consult with me, that I'm very straightforward and I will want to get straight to the heart of the matter and find out, well, what is it on your record that has been the biggest problem with getting your removal order reopened and terminated? What is it that they are? What is it? Was it a frivolous asylum application that was filed? Were there misrepresentations during court? And is there a credibility issue? What's going on? What's on the record? That would be my level of scrutiny in the very beginning in a consultation. And also, I would want to know whether you currently have a joint motion to reopen pending, and if so, how long ago was it filed? And then thirdly, if there was any response that any of your attorneys received from the DHS ICE office about any of your motions to reopen, I would want to know what did they have to say about your case. Most times they don't say a whole lot other than, well, we're just not going to join and help. Other times they will tell you what they found the problem to be. So I would want to look into all of those things. It's hard to say whether you should keep trying without knowing your full record, okay? Thank you. Are undocumented immigrants without criminal record safe from deportation? Mary's asking. Mary, I believe so, because there are so many like that, right? Who are here. They're just under the radar, so to speak, or they might have tried with immigration and it didn't work out. And so now they're just still here. 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, they're just here. They've never gotten into trouble. They're just here. So many people are like that, and it's kind of hard to sift through and find those people. Like I said in the very beginning, they're going to go after those with a very serious criminal record who they already know about. They're also going to be targeting the million plus with a removal order that they already know about. And then they're going to look at the recent folks, the recent migrants who came in, and they're going to target those individuals as well. Those are the primary folks that they're going to target. And believe me, there are actually a lot with a criminal record that is on their radar. Okay, so they're going to be very busy in the very first few months. So many people like the situation you've described will be lost for quite a while. And I'm not saying that they will not capture anybody or detain anyone who is just average with no issue. They can do that, but I think it's just going to take a little longer to reach that level of deportations. Okay, come on in, guys. Come on in. Thank you. My wife, who is a U.S. citizen, filed an I-130 for me in June. Excellent. Do you think Trump has the power to stop it? No, because you have your paperwork in with the government, and there's a mandate that USCIS has to process your applications, and they will continue to do so. Okay, they will continue to do so. Let's see. I have a case. I'm in the F2B category, which is the category for people who are sons or daughters, adults of a green card holder. My case was approved by USCIS, but it is still pending with the National Visa Center. What should I do or can I do? So, Rudy, are you in the US or are you outside of the US? If you're inside the US, do you currently have lawful status through a different visa? Are you here lawfully, maybe through the student visa F1, H1B? What's your situation, your immigration status? That is, if you're out of status and you're in this category, you'll need a waiver. You'll need a waiver once your priority date becomes current and a visa is available for you, and the government will notify you of the fact that a visa is now available. You can then file the I-601A waiver and wait. It takes 3 to 4 years for that waiver these days, and then finish up the visa center process and leave for the embassy interview. If you're outside of the United States, well, it's easier. You just continue to wait outside of the United States until a visa becomes available for you. Wow, I'm seeing here that I have 334 comments. All right. So let me see how many more I could get through before my consultations begin. Let's keep going. Um, Training says that God hold more power than we humans. Prayers going up. Perfect. Thank you for that one thumbs down. You're helping to spread this live session to others. I appreciate that. Let's see. I've been documentarily qualified for almost a year. Okay. Married to a U.S. citizen, immediate relative. When can I expect my interview? The embassy is in Accra. They're about a year out. They're very soon. You're getting much closer because Accra is it's on average a year wait, even for immediate relatives. So hang in there. You're getting closer. Almost there. Thank you. What is this a question? All illegal immigrants have to do if they want to be, okay, let's go here. I'm only answering questions today, not taking comments. Is Biden parole still working? Which one? Because one is still working, one is still in place, and that's the one involving foreigners from Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua. That one's still working, so to speak. The parole in place is no longer something that you can do. All right. Good question, Optimum. Since parole in place is gone, how long will it take to get a work permit through the 601A waiver? There is no work permit, unfortunately, for the 601A waiver process. It's really bad, but they don't allow it. As a matter of fact, the Project 2025, if they adopt this provision, this recommendation in Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation, they can Cuccinelli, he former director of ICE, or I'm sorry, USCIS, I think. USCIS wrote that section, and he says that they should limit work permits for different categories. So yeah, they might be doing that next year. Let's jump back over here. Let's see. Someone is asking in the super chat, QFam vlogs, that I used to have a green card, but I voluntarily surrendered it, exchanged it for B1, B2. Now my family and I are here and we're out of status, but my mom petitioned for me again and it has been submitted 2 years. What's next? So if you're an adult, over 21 and your mom filed for you, I'm assuming with her US citizenship, well, that case will be pending for like 7 years, 7 or 8 years. And then because you're here without status, overstay in America, you will have to do a waiver and then go back home for the process to be completed at the US Embassy. Someone says, can I send in Form I-485 after I've already filed the I-130A and the I-130 form? Elizabeth is asking, yes, Elizabeth, if you're an immediate relative, is your the petitioner, is it a spouse, U.S. citizen? And if that's the case, yes, you can do that. If it's an adult son or daughter, U.S. citizen, yes, you can do that. If, it would have been better if everything was submitted together, if you were eligible for what they call concurrent filing, everything together. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you. Let's keep going. Let's see. If you have the permanent bar, can an employer sponsor you? No, that will not be a successful process. Thank you. What can one do if the FOIA request takes more than 2 months? Which agency have you asked it from? It depends on the agency. Some agencies like Customs, CBP, can take a year. Immigration Court, EOIR, can take a year, although they've gotten better. USCIS on average is 4 to 6 weeks. We've been seeing from what my staff says electronically, 4 to 6 weeks. So which agency? Because some agencies, they take a long time with the FOIAs and you just have to wait on them. There's no like, oh, let's expedite this FOIA. For some people, if an individual is in court, if an individual has a hearing coming up before a judge, yes, there's a way to expedite it in that type of scenario. But otherwise, you would just have to wait until that agency processed the case, okay? Let's see, can a sibling file for others without leaving? Can a sibling file for an other without leaving the United States? If you have a U.S. citizen sibling, I've talked about this live last week, late at night, that now is the time to seek as much protection as you possibly can, even if the case is not as strong as you'd like for it to be right now. So long as you have a case, it's a good case, you're eligible for a process, get something filed. You've got to get things in motion. That's my argument. That's how aggressive we are here at McBean Law, filing cases that have merit, to which people are eligible for, and helping to change your mindset that you can't think about, oh, I don't want to go overseas, or, oh, I don't want to do that I-601A waiver. Well, now is not the time for you to be saying that, in my opinion. So sibling process, if that's all that you have, your sibling can file for you, but you will have to leave the U.S. at the end of the day in order to finish your process successfully at the U.S. Embassy. Let's keep going. You guys have some great questions today. 420 comments so far. Let's see. And please do not spam. Let's see. I entered the United States in 2020 and I didn't apply for asylum. I have TPS now since 2022. Can I still apply for asylum? Your asylum case will be considered late. Asylum protects individuals from deportation. Why? Because you have a right. If you have a good asylum case, you can file it. If it's late, you would have to have a lawyer help you with the explanation of why you're still eligible for this. Your case, you have a right to have that asylum case go all the way till the end. That doesn't change, and it won't change under Trump either. What will change with asylum mainly is how foreigners on the outside will be able to apply for asylum. They're going to restrict that significantly. But if you're already here in the United States and you have an asylum case, you can file it. It's going to be late. USCIS most likely will deny it because they deny most of the late asylum filings. But your case is going to be taken in immigration court for the judge to consider that asylum case. Speak with a lawyer, or you could speak with us about this process to see if this is even something we would touch, because we're very picky about asylum. We will not file just any asylum case because you say, oh, I want you to do it. And we will not do that. None of our attorneys will do it. So let's see if we have a reason to do a late filing for you or others out there who are considering asylum. Great protection from deportation. Let's keep going. Great questions. Hey, Natalie, good to see you from Facebook. Let's see. What will happen next with parole in place? Parole in place is going away, unfortunately. Do we have any update on DACA? Not today, Anne. We're still waiting on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. At least I have not seen anything today. Thank you. My USCIS received my I-485 RFE response 112 days ago. It was based on I-864, the Affidavit of Support, marriage based. What comes next, please? So USCIS is digging around to see what else, whether your RFE response meets the answers, the problem or questions that they had with your case. So they're still doing their background check and their review of things. And it's even possible, I don't know, they might just approve your case without an interview, or they might be in the process of sending your case to a local field office for them to call you in for an interview with your case. But I'm hoping that you will just get your approval very, very soon. It would be great for USCIS to just do a year-end fast approvals. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. Can I file a lawsuit for my U visa permit, work permit? I filed my U visa a year ago. Did you get it? So what, Hernan, did you obtain what they call a bona fide determination in your U visa case? Because they will only release a work permit to you if they find that your U visa case seems bona fide, like there's something to it. And if you get that, then some time later, you should get your work permit. The U visa work permit average processing times that we've seen here in our office is 8 to 12 months for that work permit, okay? Okay, let's go. Florida is in the house. Moha. Good to see you, Moha. Can a green card holder file for his wife? Yes. Watch my video later this week, Claudette, that I filmed 2 weeks ago. That's how long it takes me to get you these uploads these days because of everything else. But in that video, you're going to hear me break down all of the issues that are relevant to a spouse who only has a green card. That's coming out later this week. It's already been edited. All right, so watch out for that. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll get notice of that video this week. My husband just received his visa. Does he need to come to America before Trump gets in? He has 6 months, right, in order to execute on that immigrant visa, whether Trump is in office or not. Guys, don't get it out of your head that, oh my God, come January 20th or 21st, border is going to, airport, no one is coming into America. That's just not going to happen. He will still be able to come in after Trump is in office, all right? For any issues related to adopted children, speak with us one-on-one about those complicated issues, okay? One-on-one and via a consultation. It's so great to see everyone today. It's a new day. And we're getting empowered. Protect yourself from deportation. If we have an I-130 approved and waiting for the I-601A pending, is the risk still too high? What risk? Too high with respect to leaving the United States? Or what are you talking about, the risk level? You're on track for a green card. You're following the protocols that the government set in place. 601A is still going to be around. Um, I don't know what they're if they will touch that. It's a provisional waiver. It's discretionary. They have authority over all of the waiver process, but even in our laws allow for the Department of Justice to have these discretionary waivers to waive a number of things. So I don't know what risk you're talking about, Yamel, but stay on track with your process so that you can get your green card. Let's see. Someone, Shakira says, I was living in the US for 12 years as an immigrant. Now I've moved back to my country and I was refused a visa because I couldn't show when I was issued a visa. Can I make a waiver? So at one point, Shakira, you had, it sounds like they suspect that there's fraud on your record, okay? Because if they're saying that they don't know when they issued you a visa, an immigrant visa, then that's a huge problem. If fraud is on your record, then the only cure for it is the I-601 waiver. And in order, Shakira, for you to be eligible for that, you'll need to have a U.S. citizen or green card holder, spouse, or parent. And if you have that individual in your life, book a consultation with us so that we could work on a good case for you if there's a good case there. All right. Thank you. Can an I-1, this is a very common question that I get, Georgia. Can an I-145, I-485 adjustment of status application be approved if your I-130 is not yet approved? So typically the I-130, which is the underlying application or petition, is approved first. Sometimes they approve, most times they approve both the I-130 and the I-45 together. Okay, let's keep going. If the question is too long, for the sake of time, I'm just going to skip over it. Let's see. What should people do who have already filed for parole in place and have their fingerprints taken down? Cornelius says. Cornelius, there's nothing that anyone can do. The millions of people each year apply for something, a work permit, a green card, and citizenship. Every single one of them have to do fingerprints, parole in place, fingerprints. Every single person goes through that particular process, except the petitioners in most cases. So there's nothing that can be done. Applying for something with immigration is always going to require getting on the radar because they have to know who you are. Is there a process if an overstay wishes to leave the US? No, you just book your ticket and then you leave. If you are someone who is in, however, if you had been under ICE supervision or voluntary departures, your agreement, and you're going to leave at that date, on that date or before that date, well, there are additional steps that you can take to notify ICE of your upcoming departure. But if you're not in any of those scenarios, then you can just book your ticket and leave the US. They will say, don't let the door close, right? They are okay with you leaving. That's never ever a problem for most people. But before you leave, Stacy, understand that most likely you're going to be banned for returning for 10 years. It's very hard to come back after overstaying. You'll need a waiver in order to come back. Okay, so speak with a lawyer about every possible consequence that will happen if you leave the United States. My friend is on refugee status. Is he at risk of being detained? His court date is next year, October 2025. So if someone is in court with their asylum case, they are seeking protection through the court process, and so that case will have to play out before an immigration judge to see if he has a good case or not. And if he does, he'll be able to get a green card. What if you came to the United States on a visa and overstayed your time and you've been here for over 10 years with a clean record, Patty? Patty, this is similar to a question I answered earlier about the many millions like this, that it's going to be harder for them to sift through and find people. They will eventually find some people, obviously, but um, these folks are harder to catch up with. We've talked about DACA. Let's see. Question. What about trying to hold? What about trying to hold deportations? Will stop that window. They call it a stay of removal. Stay of removal is a strategy. Okay, and I started I had a live session in which I went through a lot of strategies last week on TikTok and Instagram, which is why it's so important, guys. If you want to really stay plugged in, follow me on social media as well to get more. And then subscribe to our newsletter to get even more at mcbeanlaw.com/subscribe. And so I'm going to continue my evening live sessions on social media about ways of protecting yourself from deportation, and I will be talking about the stay of removal as an option. I'm not sure what role filibuster is going to play in the Senate once the Republicans are in power, and how it's going to impact birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship is a day one priority that Trump has talked about through an executive order and directing DHS stop recognizing children born uh, of illegal aliens, stop recognizing them as U.S. citizens, stop in other agencies, don't issue birth certificates, don't issue, passport and all of that kind of stuff. That's a day one priority that will be challenged maybe on day two, okay, through litigation so that it could go all the way up to the Supreme Court, which is conservative, but go all the way up to the Supreme Court to decide on. Let's see. Go build your house in your own country. You know, let's see. Ban Willie. Bye. Let's keep going. Will DV lottery be affected by Trump? You know, Trump is not a fan of DV lottery. You know what he said in the past about that. It's countries that have low immigrant numbers. He doesn't like those countries. He considers them to be, the worst of the worst. But DV is still something that Congress will need to weigh in on. I know from a policy standpoint, Trump just does not support the DV system. Come on in, guys. DACA, we've talked about it. Someone says, I have an accepted motion to dismiss and terminate, but can't renew my work permit. What to do, please? So your work permit, once that's your motion to reopen and terminate has been signed off by the proper authority, whether it's Board of Immigration Appeals or if it's an immigration judge, I don't know your process. But once that final step occurs, then jurisdiction shifts back to USCIS. And as long as they have jurisdiction and you have a green card application in front of them, like the I-485 application, then you should be able to get a work permit. Okay, let's see. We're going to wrap up momentarily only because I have a consultation starting very soon. How can I share this live? Once this is over, Lynn, you will see a share button. After all these years on YouTube, you'd think I'd have a different answer for you. But once this is live, once this is over, you will see the link. You could share this. It's very easy. Thank you for that. Let's see. If you already did your biometrics for parole in place, now that it's been struck down, would you still get parole? No, I don't believe USCIS is going to approve any more cases for parole under that PIP program. Do we have to fear, Adam in Super Chats asks, do we have to fear, if do we have to, do we have to fear if we have a driver authorization card and not a real ID like the citizens? So, Adam, as long as you have a state issued ID and um, which is valid, or a valid foreign passport, you'll still be able to travel around the country freely. However, with Real ID, as you know, is not in effect yet. It's still, they've been pushing it back for years now. So just keep that in mind. It's not in effect. I haven't seen anything specifically that connects Real ID to the expected Trump crackdown. This is TSA we're talking about here. If you're traveling around America, you're going to encounter TSA, and they're not very harsh on people who use a foreign passport to travel, or a state driver's license or a state ID to get on a plane. I don't think that you should fear. Don't fear, okay? Just empower yourself. But I have not seen anything about the Real ID connected to Trump policies and deportation. Another super chat question. It comes from Robert, and he's asking if my I-485 marriage green card adjustment of status case, along with the I-130, is coming up for an interview next week. Finally, great. I'm Scottish. My wife is a U.S. citizen. If they deny or intend to deny, can I still file a waiver? Well, here's the thing, Robert. Um, the waiver for what reason? Waiver typically targets an inadmissibility problem. What problem do you have in your file that makes you think that you could potentially need a waiver? If they deny your case, a lawyer, what we would do is we would look to see what the reason is for the denial and whether we could overcome it through an appeal process, motion to reopen process, rather than a refiling. However, if it's a problem that's going to take longer than 30 days to cure, then we would recommend a refiling of your case in a stronger and more convincing way, and also in a way that explains things to immigration. The notice of intent process happens when they have these suspicions that your marriage is not completely genuine, and also maybe they have problems with whether you were free to marry each other. For some people, that's the issue. Whatever it is that they have problems with, they'll tell you in a write-in. Don't walk into that interview thinking your case is going to be denied. You want to get yourself prepared. Focus on your bona fides. Focus on those evidence. Focus on what's in your application already that you've shared with them. Prepare yourself, both of you. If you want an attorney to go with you, find one. We won't be able to do it because we are busy at this time and we can't do last minute appointments like that. Find yourself a local attorney who could go with you if you're concerned. And just expect the best, okay, once you're prepared. The waiver is something that USCIS might tell you you'll need at an interview. For instance, if they see that there's some fraud there, the officer might say to you, you're going to need the waiver. Go file that waiver. Guys, I'm going to jump off. I have my 2 o'clock paid consultation, and then a couple of other clients who I have to meet with, consultations, coming in here to meet with me. You can reach out to us today at 914-898-9488. If the phone lines are busy or you're in the queue, just be patient. We have several people answering the phone calls and booking your consultations. Get your meeting in, protect yourself. Follow me on social media, on TikTok and Instagram, in particular at McBean Immigration Law, where you will be able to see my evening live sessions about ways that you could protect yourself from deportation. Thanks so much, guys. Hang in there. We're doing this together, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.